Hello and welcome to the latest episode of my Knitting Creative Podcast. My name on Instagram is Orchids Heart and I'm coming to you from Birmingham in England. Hope you are all doing well. How's it going? I thought I would create a little episode for you that is a bit of a podcast, a bit of a vlog video montage of what I've been getting up to. So it'll be a bit different to usual, bit of a hybrid episode I think. Because I've been doing a bit of making, but a bit of monogamous making and a few other things as well. It has suddenly gotten really cold here in England. It's been mild for so long that it's been a bit of a shock. It's just suddenly gone bitterly cold and I've been finding it much harder to spend time outside, especially with the little one. And so I've actually been spending a lot more time cozied up inside, enjoying cosy projects and watching things whilst I knit. And one of the things I've been watching a lot of lately have been video tutorials on Craftsy, who are the sponsor of today's video. Craftsy is an online resource for all things creative. They have hundreds of videos about just about every creative topic under the sun that you can think of. All those things I enjoy doing, like sewing and knitting and even baking and drawing and spinning, embroidery, all sorts of things. Now I'm somebody who is mostly self-taught by experimentation, which means that nobody has really taught me that many things that I practice with my hobbies. The downside to that is that probably my skills aren't as good as they could be. And so what I've been really enjoying with Craftsy is watching videos about things that I kind of vaguely have had a bit of a go at in the past, but maybe don't really know what I'm doing. So one of those has been Shishiko Embroidery Masterclass Traditional Japanese Techniques for Modern Sewing by Mary Beth Temple. And I've been really enjoying watching these tutorials and classes by people who do know what they're talking about, because it's amazing when you try and learn something from someone who really does know what they're talking about, how much easier it makes it and how it really does add to the finish of what you're doing, learning how to do those stitches properly and neatly, and you know, the angles of how you put the needle in order to get the stitches to line up properly. I found it really invaluable actually kind of sitting down and watching that, and that was really interesting. And I am looking forward to also watching some more videos about spinning, because spinning is something else where I've kind of had a bit of a go, don't really know what I'm doing, and so watching some videos by people who really do know what they're talking about would be, I think, fantastic. So that's something in the next couple of weeks I'm going to be focusing on, is improving my spinning skills. But I thought that those of you who watch my podcast, I know a lot of you are avid knitters, but then perhaps watch some of my sewing projects with a bit of trepidation. And so I did notice that there were quite a lot of introduction to sewing videos by Sew Easy instructors, and that they might be quite a good easy place to start your sewing journey if you require a little bit more support and confidence to take up that sewing machine. I think Craftsy would be the perfect place to start on that journey. If you too also like the idea of either honing your existing skills or creating some new ones and trying something different, then if you head to the link in my description box, then you can get a year of access to Craftsy for $1.49. This offer is only valid for new members. Thank you Craftsy for sponsoring this video. So whilst I've been cozying up and watching a lot of cozy content lately, I have been predominantly working on one project which I thought I would share with you. I'm a little bit addicted, to be honest. Sorry, we are all a little bit ill in this house at the moment. And my cold mysteriously seems to have gotten worse in the last couple of hours. I am actually off work next week, so I'm really hoping I'm not about to get majorly ill before having a bit of a break. And so today's Friday, it's the start of my long weekend. I never work on a Friday. baby is asleep. We went to a music session this morning, which was lovely. You might get to see a clip of it. I don't know if I managed to get a clip without another baby in the room crying, because there's always a baby crying. But yeah, I have been quite monogamously knitting on this project. And this is the Meadow cardigan by Mip the label, and I am knitting it in Vovo by, no, the yarn is called Vovo, yes, by Retrosaria Pomar, and it's a sport weight yarn. The pattern is meant to be Aaron, but Marlene Knits knit this cardigan in this yarn, in this colour. Yes, I'm shamelessly copying her. And every time I see a picture of it, I absolutely love it. So I thought if she managed it, I can manage it. So I am. This tea is getting way too quick. So to compensate for the difference in gauge, I did not knit a gauge swatch. Please don't tell me off for that. My time is limited. I hate gauge swatches. I thought I would just risk it. So I went up 2 garment sizes and went down 5mm in my needle size. So I would assume that means that the pattern says to knit on 5mm needles, and I am knitting on 4.5, which I think is an English 7. It says 7 on my Chiago needles. So yeah, so I went up 2 garment sizes, went down a needle size, and I cast on 2 extra stitches under the arm on both sides. I did think I might decrease those out when I got to the waist, but I have tried this on and I like the ease there is. I don't want it to be too small. So I'm really enjoying this knit. I have been pretty much knitting it on it every day. And I've kind of gotten to a point where I'm comfortable enough with the pattern that I can knit on it when I'm having a low stakes conversation with somebody. Not something where I'm really focusing on them, where it's like one-on-one, but if I'm in a group and I'm popping in and out of the conversation, then I have been able to knit on it. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I think this yarn will be next to Skin Soft. It is non-superwash. Do I have a label in here? It is non-superwash, which is really important for me because I like the properties of non-superwash wool. I find it holds its shape better and like has a longer life. Just says fine Portuguese wool, so I'm not really sure what type of wool it is. But I think I can wear it on my bare skin. Which is good because I think it's going to be a spring-summer cardigan with the lace and cable details. Although I probably will want to wear it when it's finished because it's such a delightful green. I think it's really bright and cheery. So I was feeling a bit down about my knitting and I cast this on. It's a yarn that I've wanted to buy some yarn by Retrosaria Pomar for a really long time. I really like her branding, her colours, the yarns. I don't know, I'm just drawn to them. But I have so much yarn in my stash. Buying a sweater quantity of yarn seemed really indulgent because I have sweater quantities of yarn. I have gorgeous projects I can knit already, and I don't know, I didn't need to purchase it, but I kind of caved the other day. I was feeling a bit low. I've had back-to-back sickness now for like 3 months. I've been basically ill since I went back to work. I know that's really common when you have a little one. And so I've basically been flip-flopping between feeling incredibly run down and a bit sorry for myself and having brief moments of feeling totally okay and like, yes, I can conquer the world. So in one of my lower moments, I did treat myself to some yarn, including 6 balls of this and something else which I'll share in a minute. But yeah, so totally, do they call them dopamine knits? Cast on a bit of a whim, purchased on a whim, but really enjoying it, and I think it will be worn a lot, and I think it is something I don't really have in my wardrobe. So, you know, it's not a waste of time. The problem is I am running out of space in my drawers to store my knitwear. And you can only really own so many sweaters. So I am going to have to have a bit of a think. I do wear all of the knitwear I've made. Apart from some really terrible ones I made in the early days. I have found that some of my vintage knitwear that I thrifted, I don't wear so much anymore. There's nothing wrong with them, but I prefer wearing things I have made, and so I tend to rehome those, take them back to the charity shop, pass them on to my mum, etc. So they're all living glorious new lives. That's not a problem. But yeah, I'm trying to decide whether I think some kind of mother of pearl white buttons or ceramic buttons or dark buttons or wooden buttons. I'm not really sure. But I think I'm going to do more buttonholes than the pattern recommends because it looks a bit like it gapes on some people to me. So I think I might do more buttonholes. But yes, that's what I'm trying at the moment, and it's in my lovely Blue Rabbit House bag that has a raven on. I absolutely love this bag. The only thing I don't like about it really though is that it doesn't really close at the top. Like, I always end up with this. I can never close it any more than that, which kind of annoys me. But I haven't lost anything from inside it yet. I do have some quite special stitch markers floating around in the bottom, which I should probably take out because that's a bit vulnerable. But yeah, mostly this project stays at home anyway. So that has been my main project of late, I have to say. The other thing that I have been knitting on, which there is some progress but not very much, is some socks. Oh, every time I get them out I drop stitches. I'm going to have to do something about that later. I've just dropped, because I've dropped loads. Oh, there's one there that I haven't even... Sorry about this. My videos are getting more and more honest and open and unedited and raw, I'm sorry. I have decided, however, that I think I might save up for a better camera, because I currently use my phone. I think I'm going to do that. I'm either going to get a better phone, which I'm not overly enthralled by, because I don't like the responsibility of carrying around a better phone with me. But I did think it might be nice to have a better camera for recording these videos. So having sponsors like Craftsy is helpful for that. But also, if you did want to support the channel anyway, I do have a link to my Ko-fi account below. So I think I am going to start saving now for a better camera, so I can show off my projects and things I'm getting up to in higher resolution. And so anyway, here is a homestead sock. I think it's called Hearth and Homestead. Hearth and Home. I will put the name in the box below. And it's in a naturally dyed sock yarn by Under Eagle Mountain, which I think she used sage to dye. It's like this pinky brown. And so I've almost finished with the decreases on the foot. And it's just kind of a normal heel flat toe gusset sock. Is that what you say? I don't know, can't remember. With a quite a simple texture. I think they might be a bit baggy on the leg, which worries me slightly. But they are my backup easy knit, which I haven't actually touched in ages because I'm working on the cardigan obsessively. But also because I did do one other quick tiny knit. Sorry, this has become a little bit podcasty. I will break it up in a moment, I promise. I finally knit my first ever beloved bonnet by Tincan Knits. So obviously this isn't for me, this is for my baby boy. I had some leftover fleece, Blue Faced Leicester, no, it's a yarn by West Yorkshire spinners called Fleece, and this is the Blue Faced Leicester one, because they do a Jacobs one I think and a Blue Faced Leicester. It's undyed, so it's in this browny colour, it's next to Skin Soft. I knit a hat for my father-in-law ages ago. I ran out of yarn, had to buy another skein just to do the top bit. So then I knit a jumper for my baby boy. I ran out of yarn, so I had to go buy another skein to finish it off. And then finally used up the rest to knit this. I think it might not have been the right gauge yarn for the pattern, but it's worked really well. I knit the toddler size, I'm not sure my baby is a toddler yet, so this is a bit on the big side, but he can get away with wearing it. And I'm umming and ahhing about knitting another one a size down for this winter and saving this for next winter. Or I might just put this on him and it'd be a bit big. But truth be told, I can actually get it on my own head. So, I mean, it is stretched out like that. It's quite big. But yeah, so I think it's really cute. There is a picture of an adult woman wearing it as well because it goes up to adult sizes. It's kind of tempting to make one for myself, but I don't know if it's a bit infantilizing. I also really like the idea of having a red one, and I keep getting told that would be to Handmaid's Tale, which frustrates me because to me it's Red Riding Hood, but apparently no, not anymore. So that is enough to pick you off. But yeah, what do you think? I think it's super cute. It was a really quick knit, it was really easy. I think I did it in 3 evenings. So yeah, perfect for this now very cold weather. And to be honest, that's all I've been knitting on. I have another project I'm about to cast on and a few other bits and bobs, but I have mostly been trying to enjoy when it is warm enough to be out, being out and about. I've also, due to the various being ill all the time, actually not spent as much time making as I would like. I have been trying to slow down and rest a bit and just take things as they come and enjoy the season. So hopefully I can share a few clips of that if I haven't already. I am drinking some Lapsang Souchong, although it's nearly finished. I buy all my tea from a market in Bath, but they do deliver. You can buy online and they deliver. I'll put the name below. I've mentioned them before because I think their tea is the best tea and it's the only tea I really buy, to be honest. Sometimes I get a bit tempted and sucked into buying something else. I always go back to the Earl Grey and Lapsang, and I wouldn't buy Earl Grey or Lapsang by anybody else, to be honest, at this point. But sometimes I think, oh, I would enjoy a seasonal chai or, I don't know, something else. But the only tea I religiously drink over and over again is Earl Grey tea and Lapsang Souchong. I think both are just, you can't get any better. Black, always black. No milk, no sugar, just straight up. I even just put a pinch of tea leaves in the mug, pour water on it and call it quits. So I've got quite gappy teeth, which helps with that. But anyway, tangent. My other yarn purchase and next cast on is I bought 2 of these skeins of Spinny by Isaya. Oh, I'm sorry. And it's a pure new wool. It's 300 meters for 50 grams, and it's a single ply. And this is colour 15S. It's very similar in colour actually to my cardigan I'm knitting, and I suspect when I ordered both from the Oxford yarn store, they probably thought I was holding this with the other yarn and probably thought, you haven't ordered enough. But that's fine because they're not for the same project. I am holding this for something else, which I'll share in a second. But I just wanted to share that it did say on one of the websites I looked at for this yarn that due to its single ply structure, it's not very good for knitting in stockinette held on its own. I think the yarn was actually designed as well to be held with one of their other yarns because there seems to be quite a range of compatible yarns. Some are a bit fuzzy, some are a bit alpaca-y, and I think the idea was it'd be held with something else, which is what I'm doing. So I naturally dyed 2 skeins of, this is the West Yorkshire Spinners Fleece. I think this one's the Jacob. I don't think this is the BFL. Maybe it is the BFL, but it was the white one. So also undyed, but it was the palest because they were in a range of, I think they go from white to that dark brown. And I originally tried to dye it with weld. It went wrong, so I dyed it with something like onion skins or something else, and it was a really bright yellow, which I did not like. So when I was dyeing some other yarn, I had some acorn dye with iron in it, and I dumped it in there just to make it a bit grungier. And so I am holding the 2 together. I'm going to take part in Caprine Cottage's knit along for the Pelica vest. So I do have the baby monitor next to me, and it does pick up noises from the road bizarrely, and that was, if you heard that, it was somebody braking on their bike going past. Yes, so I'm going to hold these 2 together and knit the Pelica vest. I am going to do quite a cropped version. I probably am going to cast this on this weekend or next week. I'm really looking forward to knitting it. I have sewn a couple of vests, which I'm going to share about in a minute. You've seen them before. But I don't really wear them because they're on the big side. So I'm hoping that this will be a bit more fitted and will, I don't know, be a bit easier for me to wear. We shall see. I'm very inspired by Lorna from Thread & Yarn. She wears hers a lot and it always looks glorious. So I'm hoping that these 2 colours will go together well and they won't look really marly, because this is a bit more subdued than that colour. So we'll have to see. If it looks dreadful, then I don't know what I will do. I don't think that this is thick enough to knit on its own, but you know, I might try. I seem to be on a bit of a run of kind of doing what I want and hoping for the best. So yeah, I'm not advocating or recommending that. You do you. If you can face ripping something out and starting over and wasting the time, then go for it. I kind of feel at this stage I just want to get into projects, so I just have been diving in. But yes, the only other thing I've really been up to making wise is I ages ago wanted to make some hanging pouches to go on the hooks in my boy's bedroom for him to store things in, and I've been wanting to do it for ages, and I wanted to make something to go on the end of his bed that has some pockets in for books and the odd toy. We don't need to get into this, but he sleeps in a double bed with a huge bed guard on the side. He has a lot of space. Sorry about the coughing. And so there are quite a lot of toys floating around in his bed, because he wakes up and he will happily play in his bed for like half an hour on his own. So it's quite good to have things immediately available. But we have now purchased second-hand a single bed for him, which he will go into eventually. I'm not really sure when it feels appropriate. And I would quite like this hanging pouch to be on the end of a single bed so he can have some things in there, because just having toys floating around in the bed probably be not such a good idea when there's less space. And so I was meaning to get around to making that, like a fabric organiser. I haven't. That might be something I do next week with my time off. But I did finally start making the hanging buckets I wanted to make. But they've come out way too small. So this is what I've made. I will link the pattern and the tutorial I used below. But yes, so this is it. It's a really lovely shape and I do really like it, but it's not big enough. He just about can fit his wooden bear in here, so I don't really know what I'm going to use it for. If you have any suggestions. I wanted one to hang like his hats and gloves and things on, and another one to put all of his socks in. I mean, I can fit some socks in there, not enough. So I like that it's got like the dip at the front because it's easy to get things in and out. So I don't know what I'm going to do with this. It might end up in my sewing room. I specifically chose a fabric for his room that I also really liked because he will grow out of these things. These things have a fairly short lifespan, I think, for him, like a couple of years. Because I would imagine a 5-year-old maybe doesn't want a woodland themed room. And we're actually only intending to live in this house in another couple of years, and we're going to move into hopefully our more or less forever home. And he will be 3 or 4 when we do that. So yeah, his current room is woodland themed. I am imagining that when we move, the new room wouldn't be. And so my idea is all of these like fabric organisers and things I'm making, I would eventually adopt in my future sewing and craft room. So maybe I will just put it in a cupboard for that. I don't know, because I don't know that there's a purpose for it in this room. Yeah, I'm not sure. So I have blown up the pattern on a photocopier and I'm going to make the same thing but hopefully bigger. I do have another one of these cut out in this size, so I'm going to go ahead and sew it up because it's no good as anything else. Maybe I'll see if my mum wants one for Christmas. I doubt it, to be honest. So yeah, but I think it would be a really good Christmas present for somebody because you could put some really nice things in there, like a handmade candle, or I don't know, a locally made something, or I don't know, something you've made or something you've bought, something nice to eat even. You could do it without the hanging bit if you wanted to. It could just be a tabletop one. But I have given lots of things like that I've bought by local makers to my family in the past. I've probably overdone it with project bags, organisers and things like that made from fabric, so they've probably got overkill of fabric storage. But I think that my baby could do with a couple, maybe some bigger sort of basket things that he can put like building blocks and things in. So I might make a few more. I suppose in my future sewing room it might be quite good for storing a future project. If it was bigger, the loop, you could probably use it, could just about, to walk and knit. I think the uses are quite flexible. And so the other thing that I might do next week, but it's quite unlikely, is I did mention that I bought this fabric, it's linen cotton blend by Merchant Mills the other week, and I might cut out and make my bob pants. So I've got 3 days off work, which is a working week for me. So that's 3 days I'm off work and the baby's due to be at nursery. So providing nobody is ill, I have 3 days to myself at home. So I'm going to do some sorting out and then I'm going to do some sewing because I find it really difficult to do sewing when he's up and about. Knitting you can pick up and put down. Sewing is really difficult. So I might make my bob pants because it's a project ready to go. But equally, these are very much a spring trouser, I think, so I might not. We shall see. Or I might make them because I've got the time and put them away for spring so they're ready. I do feel like they'd look quite good with my future cardigan and vest because I think those colours look really nice together. Would be very bright by my standards, but you know, I could be tempted. So I might do that. But the thing I'm definitely going to do is I am going to do some work on this vest. So I did previously record this video, but I had to change a few things. If I can figure out how to do that, put a clip of it actually finished before I started messing with it. So I made this vest. It's the Bilbo vest by Thread and Yarn, and I finished it the night before I went to Woolly Good Gathering in April, and it has this beautiful embroidered back. But around the end of last year and the start of this year, because I was really deep in the middle of breastfeeding, my bust was much bigger, and I assumed that that was the size I was going to be. And I would not go back to my previous body size because everyone tells you that having a baby changes your body forever, which is true. But I do appear to more or less have gone back to the size that I was. Not something we need to get into, but that includes being almost flat-chested because I don't breastfeed as much as I used to. So I made a couple of garments on the basis of my bust being several inches larger than it is. And so no matter how many times I've put this on, it's just felt too big and made me feel too out of proportion, and I've not enjoyed wearing it. So I finally decided I would unpick all the bias binding and take the pieces apart and cut it down. So I'm going to cut my pattern down that I printed out to a size smaller, lay it against these pattern pieces, and resew it up at a size smaller, basically. Because that embroidery is so beautiful, I want to enjoy it. And I never got around to putting the buttonholes on the front, so it's perfect because I can finish it off properly and it will actually fit and I'll enjoy wearing it more. So yeah, I've got one more armhole to unpick, and then the two pieces are separate because I only quilted one side to the wall batting, and this is actually a linen sheet which I over dyed with a Dylon pod, so it's a really gorgeous like gold ochre colour, which I think looks really nice with the white shishiko thread and the embroidery stitches. So I'm definitely going to be doing that next week. In fact, that might be one of my priorities, along with resting and doing some sorting out. Thought baby was about to wake up then. But anyway, that's kind of what I've been doing. Bit of baking, just a bit of everything really. So I think over the next couple of weeks I am going to try and get some good rest in before the Christmas madness. I'm hosting, so I'm going to try and make some of the food in advance and freeze it up, so that will make it a bit easier because everyone's coming to us. Last year everyone came to us, but my mum and my mother-in-law did all the cooking because I had a very young baby. He was only a couple of months old, and so I was given a break. This year they will help, but I'm going to try and do a bit more than I did last year. So I'm looking forward to that, but I also know that I need to get some rest in beforehand. And yeah, that's it really. So it was lovely talking to you guys. It would be great if you could like the video if you enjoyed watching it, and if you would like to share below in a comment what you've been up to, because I do find it really interesting hearing what you guys are making. So yeah, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed the video, and hopefully I can share something else with you guys soon. Goodbye.